and UConn.
All right, thank you, Gus. The #1 ranked team in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks, come in here with that beautiful 17-0 record to take on the UConn Huskies, who are very respectable 11-3 in a rebuilding year. But you talk about rebuilding, they must rebuild today, because this week they lost their two most experienced players, Kurt King and Ricky Moore. They accepted plane tickets from an outside source. They've been suspended by the school. The investigation continues by the NCAA. Perhaps further suspensions for these two. And Billy, another question mark coming into the game. Jock Vaughn from Kansas injured a leg, ligament sprain in the knee in practice on Friday. But just a moment ago, we received word he will start today. So what about this game?
That's more bad news for Jim Calhoun, but it may help Roy in this respect, in the fact that he does not have to play Jock in this particular game. One of the things we're going to be seeing today is a coach who's an outstanding coach that has no more idea what these freshmen are going to do than we do, Jimmy. It's a tough one.
Well, they haven't lost here in 10 years in a non-league game. I'm talking about the UConn Huskies, Gus. Coming up. Coming up next.
Smart takes a shot. Indiana wins the championship.
There's the pass to Laser. The Hartford Civic Center in Hartford, Connecticut. The Connecticut Huskies have not lost a non-Big East game here since December of 1987. 46 straight wins against non-league opponents. But what a challenge they'll have today, taking on the undefeated #1 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. And again, Jim Nance with Billy Packer courtside. Billy, we talked a moment ago in the insert about UConn without its two most experienced players, arguably their top two players, Ricky Moore, Kurt King, both suspended for this game. What long odds they face here today against Kansas?
Well, it really is, Jim. We remember when the tables were turned just 2 years ago and UConn came in to play Kansas, but Kansas did have weapons, and of course they did very well. I think what's so tough today for Jim Calhoun is not only is this a young team, but they're going to be put under a task today that he really doesn't know how they're going to react to, and certainly we don't. It's going to be very interesting to watch this ball game.
We have no idea what we're going to see.
Absolutely
Folks,
not.
We're going to find out in just a moment. We'll get it underway. Kansas and UConn next.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by the United States Marine Corps. The change is forever. Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by Hertz, for business for pleasure, nobody does it.
And the sold-out crowd worked up early, and the Huskies will really need to rely on a little added boost from their supporters today. Roy Williams, record-setting coach in his 9th season at Kansas, two-time National Coach of the Year. The untouchables, Pierce, Pollard, LaFrentz, backcourt of Vaughn and Haas. Jim Calhoun and the unknowns. The Huskies with Kevin Freeman, a freshman, Bosco, a freshman, Richard Hamilton, freshman. The backcourt, Roshmel Jones, a sophomore, and Monquincio Hartnett, a junior college transfer, getting his second start. He started early in the year in a game against Yale.
Jim, Kansas has been to 10 Final Fours. This is the first time in their history they've had 4 players with 1,000 points in the same season on the same team. So we start talking about not only quality, but experience on this club.
Here's Hartnett and the Huskies with Freeman. They were just worried about some of the most basic rudimentary things on the floor. Passing from guards to forwards.
I like that positive move, though, by Hartnett. He had 15 against Georgetown in their last ball game, and we've seen Georgetown a lot, Jim. When you can get 15 against that hard-nosed defense, you're not afraid to go inside.
Roshmel Jones is the leading scorer from UConn. Passes on him. Jones drives for two.
No weak side help. Very surprising.
Now Jock Vaughn ailing a bit with sprained ligament in his left leg. He was 50-50 to play today, and he decided to give it the green light in warm-ups.
2-3 zone being employed. You're going to force Kansas to shoot from the outside.
LaFrentz too strong. Jones rebound. UConn can shut some people down defensively, like 34% from the field. Last week in a win against Georgetown, the Hoyas shot only 25% against the Huskies.
They've had only 2 teams shoot over 40 this year against them. But we're talking about a different animal here in Kansas.
So with 3 true freshmen on the floor, the Huskies go inside. Freeman gets the roll. 4-0 UConn.
Now there's a freshman with a senior's body, does Freeman. He is ready to play major college basketball body-wise. And a great block by Voskuhl.
Pollard had an open lane, and Voskuhl, the freshman, swiped it away. Jones comes out with it.
Jim, maybe the freshmen didn't read any newspaper clippings, huh? They don't know who Kansas is.
Absolutely fearless here early. Jones, that was a 3. Pollard snags the rebound.
Jock Vaughn pushing the ball up the court with that dribble. Different than Robertson, who brought it up with the pass. It gives him 2 different ways to attack it.
Working it back inside. LaFrentz.
That's a walk.
They call it.
Great job by Voskuhl against LaFrentz, who has probably been playing as well in the low post as anybody in the United States.
3 empty trips for the #1 team in the country to start this game.
And Jim, what can happen? Of course, the Kansas players have read the newspapers. And you know, you're a team that has played extremely well both on the road and at home. You come in here undefeated. #1 ranked. Robertson comes in.
Yep.
Jock Vaughn going to sit down.
So Vaughn out within 2 minutes. And Robertson, who had to start first half of the year while Jock Vaughn was recovering from a wrist injury, back in there, very experienced player, only a sophomore, but great experience.
And Roy Williams, an experienced coach, too, is up off his feet early, Jim, because he knows he may have to force some intensity out of his ball club early on.
Monquincio Hartnett with 5 on the shot clock. Loses his dribble, and Pierce takes it away. Pass ahead. Challenges Jones. Foul called, and back of the rim Blues. Almost a 3-point opportunity.
That's a great hit ahead by Pierce, laying on the floor.
Kansas in the national ranking, scoring margin, 23-point margin of victory. Rebounding, look at this, they have out-rebounded every opponent this year. Field goal percentage, over 50%, and their scoring is 4th in the nation. Haas looking for their first points.
We could also rank them #1 in winning percentage at 17-0.
Co-#1, right? There's only one other undefeated team in the whole nation, and that's Billy Packer's alma mater, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons.
But a big game coming up this weekend against Clemson, the club that's breathing right down their neck in the ACC.
Outside jumper, and that's a 3-point basket by Richard Hamilton. 6'6" freshman. But Pierce answers with a 2 at the other end and a chance for another point.
That's Hamilton's 23rd three-pointer on the year, shooting right under 40%. And spotted it up, no problem. There's Pierce, a terrific penetrator. Built up his upper body this year so that when he goes inside, you just can't knock it away. Even though Voskuhl gets a hand on it, you see Pierce goes right through it.
Foul was called on Voskuhl. They have to be careful with Voskuhl. He's fouled out of their last 2 games, and they're so thin already. Could not afford to lose the freshman.
Little half-court trap for the first time today, taking advantage of a non-point guard being out there.
Jones 3. 10-4 UConn.
Jimmy, that was a great offset by Jones. He created the opening for the passing lane instead of just standing still in the double.
Pierce with a 3. Rebound to Hartnett. To the corner. Hamilton again. What a scene here early.
Well, one thing hasn't changed in this game, Jim, and that's the Connecticut fan. They have a tremendous following here. And they are really being the sixth man here today.
Steal by Hamilton. 3-on-2. Hartnett.
Is Roy going to let his team work out of it, or is he going to get a timeout here?
Pollard over Voskuhl.
Great rebound, Freeman.
9-point run for UConn, looking for more.
Good decision.
Next whistle will be the under-16 timeout. Huskies almost had it taken away.
You see, Hartnett did not offset as Jones did before, and there was no passing lane. If he'd have just moved a little bit to right or left, he'd have had an open jumper. Nice pull out here by Connecticut. These kids playing way above their age level, I'll tell you that.
Jones 3. Hartnett signaling to the bench. He's winded. But there's a timeout coming as soon as the next whistle.
Well, when you're not used to starting, you get a little winded, Jim. They're all winded.
Hass answers. Hartnett may be winded, but this crowd is just breathless. As the UConn Huskies lead 18-7.
Only averaging on the year 69 points a game. The wet tempo this is going, designed to be a much higher scoring ball game. And we remember, Jim, when Connecticut went out there to Kansas City, ranked number 2, full of confidence. Kansas played what Roy thinks may be the best game any team he's ever coached played.
Double team, Hamilton fouled on the shot.
Robertson fell asleep defensively. A better pass would have had Hamilton with a layup.
3 subs coming in for Kansas. Jock Vaughn comes back. TJ Pugh and Billy make that DJ Williams. But the Huskies also make subs. Antrick Kleber, number 22, gives them some size inside, and Dion Carson, number 24, in for Hartnett. Hamilton will shoot 2. That foul called on Ryan Robertson. We were saying, I know there's only, 5.5 minutes of action to account for, but we were saying before this game, this is like Milan High School. Would it be some kind of dream scene today? UConn has hit 4 out of 5 from three-point land, taking it to the hole early.
Here we're going to see Hamilton with the ball. He's going to penetrate to the inside. When Haas turns around, watch what Jones does on the offset to create the passing lane for the jump shot. There's the penetration. He offsets, creates a passing lane for a wide open jumper. A very good technical move by Jones.
There's Richard Hamilton, who has 8 points, helping this Husky flurry. 13-3 run. 8 also by Rashmel Jones.
And Jimmy Calhoun goes man-to-man. Probably just one time down, just to give a little change on that timeout. Solid defense by this young team.
And look out, Jayhawks under 5 on the shot clock. Vaughn has to put it up. DJ Williams touched it last. UConn ball.
If possible, you would like to get the ball out of Jock Vaughn's hands for that last 6 or 7 seconds, but Kansas really knows how to utilize him at the top of the key. Didn't pull it off that time, however.
Richard Hamilton really doing a great majority of the ball handling.
He really is, and you figure what a fine backcourt that'd be with Moore out there and a couple of years under their belt. Nice kick.
Antrick Kleber lost it going to the hole.
Who's that man on the floor? Jock Vaughn.
Jones thought about putting it up, but he had a much taller defender on him, 6'8" DJ Williams.
Could have been an intentional. That's a bad shot, and he got hit on the elbow. Good call.
Hamilton to the line for 2. Foul against Vaughn.
Jimmy, if you and I are guarding Michael Jordan and are allowed to hit a man on the elbow, including Michael Jordan, we can hold him scoreless. And that's what happened on that block. It's just amazing how just a little touch on the elbow on a jump shot will just eliminate the shot completely.
Voskuhl out. Kevin Freeman, a starter, returns. And here's another freshman at the line for two. Hamilton, a McDonald's High School All-America, the third one to play for UConn. Danielle Marshall and Corny Thompson, the other two decorated recruits in Husky history.
Really hitting the offensive glass. It's kind of amazing because Kansas is the best rebounding club in the country with a differential, second best in the country. They're just getting beat on the boards.
Deion Carson hitting the jumper, increasing the lead now to 16. 23-7. Not to be believed. Vaughn, three-point shot.
And really not the big part of Jock Vaughn's game, but he steps out there and drills that one.
Vaughn with a three.
Seems to be moving pretty well on that knee, Jim.
Yep. Haas has hit a three, but Kansas with only 10 points in the game's first 7.5 minutes.
Hamilton really doing a good job out here occupying this ball. Perfect pass.
Through the hands of Kleber, but UConn keeps it.
A little hedge move that time by Williams, and Hamilton handled it perfectly. Kleber should have caught that ball and put it away.
Shot clock is not reset, so only 8 seconds to get off a shot.
And how often, Jim, we see that the players aren't aware of that. You know, when they take that ball out of bounds, somebody, particularly a young team, is going to have to let them know. Wide open.
Freeman had a chance at the lay-in. That was the first miss in 7 attempts for UConn in a 7-shot stretch. Vaughn driving. LaFrance with position.
Blocked by the rim.
Stays with it, though, for two. Hartnett back in the game for the Huskies.
All that has out there, Jim, right now in regard to the regular starting lineup. See if they got their second breath and focus in.
Vaughn on the outside with a push.
Hartnett's quick. Very quick.
Kansas with number 11, Jock Vaughn.
Good drive by Jock Vaughn, and here's where this offensive board work by LaFrance really paying off. Blocked by the rim, however.
Got the under 12 timeout. 16-point lead. And when Kansas was down 16, it matched the Jayhawks' largest deficit of the season, Billy. They were down 16 against Cincinnati at one stage.
Right, Danny Fortson got in foul trouble, and of course things turned around. A little gut check for Kansas. They're having to make one now a little earlier than anticipated. Certainly by me, I can assure you that. I never expected these young kids to be able to come out and play this well.
Kansas forces the turnover on the inbounds pass.
Roy Williams with an assist to the official. Little bounce pass, nice technique. And they stay man-to-man. Now, Voskuhl's got to be careful, Jim. This is the guy right here. Pollard, so experienced. Voskuhl's got to make sure he's not in foul trouble. Beautiful day.
No, there's a point right there where Voskuhl didn't even challenge him. Wasn't his responsibility, but he has fouled out of the last 2 games, Voskuhl, so he must be careful not to get any cheap ones today.
And that's why I'm kind of surprised that Jim Calhoun didn't go back to that zone a little bit. With Kansas being behind, you might want to let them see if they can make pressure shots from the outside instead of going to that inside game that they're so effective with.
Voskuhl doubled up. Carson, who's already hit a jumper, and got caught with no option. Stolen by LaFrance. Baseline to Pierce.
Beautiful layup.
Yep, Kansas on a roll now.
Connecticut's got to be careful here. They had a nice working margin. And it seemed like the minute that Hamilton went out of the game, Jim, they lost some presence at the point guard spot.
Another turnover.
They've really got a problem there. And Hamilton's going to come right back in the game. Nice move by Jim Calhoun.
Kansas has run off 9 unanswered.
And here they come.
Pierce on a wing, open 3. Make it 12 unanswered. And that 16-point lead suddenly is down to a mere 4-point advantage.
Pollard smiling at Voskuhl, as if to say, son, you're playing with the veterans out here now.
Jones.
Could have been a foul on that play, no call. They're really running.
Pierce to the wing, to Vaughn.
Jim Calhoun may have to call a time just to get his guys back in focus here. Let Hamilton touch that ball more. Here he is.
Boy, they scored 14 unanswered in a hurry.
Now, Jim, this is the top team in the country right here. Playing against depleted ranks.
Pierce went for the steal. Hamilton, 5 on the shot clock. Has to launch it. Oh, rattles it home. A 3-pointer, no less.
That's his third outside jumper today. They do go back to the 2-3 zone. A good move.
And Kansas turns it over, trying to go inside to Pollard.
Here you see Pierce is playing solid D. He's got on him. There's nothing he can do. He's given up his dribble, and Hamilton hits it anyway. Just created a shot. I like 2 moves here by Jim Calhoun. Number 1, go back into the zone, get Hamilton back in the game, slow things down a little bit offensively. They had nice tempo at the start of this game.
Hamilton outside again. Follows his own miss for 2.
Well, Danielle Marshall came from Pennsylvania, is a great All-American here, and this kid's sure showing us he's got that potential.
He has 14 of UConn's 28, half their total.
Pierce
hobbling, yep. An injury timeout.
Looks like he's holding his thigh, Jim.
Yeah, above the knee.
Yep.
Haas comes into the lineup. Haas, who led Kansas in that win against UConn 2 seasons ago. He had 20 points. It was a blowout for Kansas that day at Kemper Arena.
Shocking blowout.
Pollard.
Good job. Great job by Bosco.
Fighting for it is Freeman, but Robertson comes out with it. Robertson plants the feet, launches the 3.
Jim, that hurts. Robertson only shooting 10 of 28 from 3 so far this year. Only shooting 37% from the floor all told.
28-24 Connecticut. 8 minutes to go, first half.
And here's a young man coming off the bench who had that starting assignment when Vaughn was out, so really picked up valuable experience. Little double stack down low for Connecticut, trying to get Jones open for a jumper.
5 on the shot clock, right off of Hamilton's foot. And that should be a timeout. Whistle under 8. There goes Hamilton. And the Huskies. Hamilton hit 4 out of 5 from the field to this point. 14 points. UConn. How about the shooting percentages in this game early? UConn 67%, and Kansas with 53. And Billy, as you pointed out, only 2 teams have shot over 40% against UConn this year. Kansas right now 53%.
Jim, when Connecticut took that great club into Kansas City, they shot 3 for 18 threes, 22 for 84, only 26% against Kansas. There's Pierce trying to run that little thigh bruise out, but those were the low marks ever for a Jim Calhoun team. But this young club today is coming out on fire.
Pollard with position over Voskuhl. Comes up short.
I tell you, Voskuhl is doing a lot of good things in this basketball game.
Yeah, he takes up a lot of space,
yes,
too,
he does.
Yeah, Pierce with a knee to the thigh, and he's just trying to run off that muscle cramp. Expected to return.
Voskuhl has only averaged 11 minutes a game coming into this ball game, but he's playing solid out there against a real veteran in Pollard.
Jones, foot on the line. That's a 2. And a toe on the line.
And Doc Vaughn put his hand right up through his nose, and Jones still concentrated on the jumper. And they're back into that 2-3 zone, and Voskuhl taking up a lot of room in the middle. LaFrance has not been able to get open in it.
Kansas works it around to half.
There's a
push off on Voskuhl, his second.
That was a freshman foul there, Jim. You know, he didn't have to do that.
Well, the lineup next week on CBS. Saturday, Villanova, Boston College. Some will see Auburn and Georgia. UCLA against Louisville. What a season there.
All three of those games involved in upset. Massachusetts, the BC situation. Georgia getting beat by South Carolina. And, of course, another big upset yesterday. Oh, beautiful pass.
No look pass.
No look.
Yep, Vaughn to LaFrance. We'll look forward to being down in Arkansas for Kentucky and the Razorbacks. Can the Razorbacks regroup after the shellacking yesterday at the hands of Cincinnati? Second worst loss in Arkansas history.
Well, Cincinnati coming off a 15-point drubbing by Temple shows the teams in this country that are capable of knocking each other off. You mentioned UCLA there, Jim. Big win against Arizona.
Bruins now 10-4.
Yep. Good screen by Freeman.
6 minutes to go in the half. Inside. Freeman had it stripped. He thought about passing it to an open Hardnett. Would have been an easy two.
Yep, he should have bounced it right over because Hardnett can finish. He can get up in the air.
Billy Thomas, a gunner from the outside. He can really fill it up. But not that time. And a foul against Kansas. Watch the look on Jack Vaughn's face here.
He's looking as if he's going to pass the ball to the wing. LaFrance, of course, great eye contact between those two players. Know each other so well. Perfect pass.
A little cut over the eye that Vaughn suffered in the game's first 2 minutes had to be taken out for that to be dressed.
Pierce.
Now Pierce back.
Yep.
30-26. UConn 11-3 on the year. In the top 10 though in the power rankings. A little bit of a surprise, that RPI index.
Little schedule considerations there, Jim.
Yeah, and some, quality
Opened
wins
up with
too.
Indiana.
And they beat Virginia.
Georgetown at Georgetown.
Virginia, a good win. Freeman keeps driving. And Jayhawks fouling. That one called. Let's see now. Who did they give that one to?
Well, it could have been Pollard.
But he
It
signaled.
could have been Williams.
Yeah, he's 22 Williams. His first. And number 5 on Kansas. So still a couple away from a 1-1. But that was in the act of shooting. So Freeman at the line for 2. From just up the road, Springfield, Massachusetts. Home of the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Played at Patterson Catholic down in New Jersey for his senior year. Had a big game here in Hartford against Hartford. 8 for 11, 18 points. So explosive score. Great body on him for a freshman.
It would be a Hall of Fame type upset today if somehow UConn could endure the kind of success they're enjoying here in the first half.
Sticking right with that 2-3 zone. Faber down inside trying to give Bosco some minutes on that bench. Extra pass.
Pierce baseline. And loose ball. Long arms of Williams gets it. A misfire. UConn comes out with it.
Williams just too anxious on that, Jim. Had a wide open shot.
Under 5 to go first half. UConn in no hurry.
And Kansas, a team that goes inside so much more this year. Coming in this game, they took 133 less threes than they did at this point in the season last year. So you can see where the focus is. Pollard, LaFrance inside.
As a result, shooting less, but a much better percentage. 4 on the shot clock. And that misfire by Hamilton. Billy Thomas tipped in by Williams.
He didn't waste any time on that. Thomas is coming into the games, Jim, and he looks like he really thinks that he can drill it. Did an excellent job from the outside against Iowa State earlier this week. Iowa State, you talk about upsets. Without Willoughby, of course, they're depleted somewhat as a scoring team, but Colorado really put it on them yesterday.
And Thomas, though, comes in for Kansas. He's 47% from three-point land this year. He's a real shooter. We saw him excel out at UCLA. Look at this again. Under 5 on the shot clock.
Hamilton not quite strong enough to beat Pierce.
Faber underneath, though, drawing the foul against Kansas.
To see Williams on this tip. We talked about the little short jumper he missed, but he's way above the rim. No blockout situation. With Bosco out of there, they don't have the same kind of strength they had down in the middle in that 2-3 zone.
That foul called on Pollard. Actually, they call it on Pierce. Pollard goes out. Andrick Kleber will have one more. 6'10" sophomore from Silver Spring, Maryland.
And Jim, you look down on the bench at Connecticut and you see a pretty nice team sitting there in street clothes. Unfortunately, they're not in this ballgame.
A 3 can tie it. Kansas has never led, trailed by as many as 16.
Beautiful ball.
Wasn't that something?
But they got to finish it.
UConn comes out with it. Freeman picks it up before it went out of bounds.
Pierce is doing a pretty good job on Hamilton now. And Jim, Hamilton is not able to beat Pierce off the dribble. He's going to have to get some screens. He's been shooting so well in this half, but he's got to get a screen to get a shot off.
A 20-second timeout called by UConn. Remember, you get 3 20s this year, but you have to use one of them in the first half. So it's good use of a timeout right there by Jim Calhoun. This week's headlines: Colorado 5-0 now, not 5-0 for the week, but 5-0 overall in Big 12 play and headed to the top 25.
Good win over Iowa State yesterday.
Lester Earl leaving LSU and enrolling at Kansas. We saw him last year. We opened our season last year, UCLA at Kansas, and Lester Earl was visiting that day.
Yes, he was. It was a Matt Doherty project. He was recruiting him and, of course, got his second chance at him. Was doing a good job at LSU. 9 points, 7 rebounds a game down there. It'll be quite an addition to Roy Williams' ball club.
Jones, too strong. Freeman.
Good idea. Smart play by Freeman. Looked right over his head, saw an open teammate.
Drives on Robertson. Freeman. Kleber inside, rejected.
Hamilton.
Hamilton with 16 now, and UConn back in front by 5.
They're taking it to Kansas on the offensive glass. That is really surprising. I realize Pollard's not in the game right now, but Kansas has been tremendous on the boards up to this point.
Billy Thomas, that's his first to drop out of 3 attempts.
He could be the difference, Jim, in this ball club, working their way to a Final Four. I really believe that, because in the last 2 years, they have just come up shy from the outside in the big games down the stretch. He looks like he's just so positive with that jump shot. Tried a little backdoor cut. Good job by Thomas staying with Jones.
Last 2 minutes of the first half. UConn leads by 2. Undefeated Kansas. 17-0.
Good switch by LaFrance.
Jones, open lane. They'll shoot 2. One telling stat in this game: Kansas has out-rebounded every opponent on the season. But today, UConn with an 8-board advantage right now, 19-11 rebounding.
And Jim, how many of those on the offensive glass? You just don't see people do that to Kansas.
T.J. Pugh called for that foul, and he goes to the bench. With 1:30 remaining first half. Hamilton also goes out. They have to be careful without Hamilton in the lineup. That was what really started the Kansas streak when the Jayhawks were down 23-7.
Absolutely. Hardnett's going to have to handle that ball at the top of the key.
UConn only 4 of 8 from the line.
Carson and Jones. Jones really likes to play the small forward, and Carson's the second guard, so who's going to handle the ball?
Jones, their leading scorer. But again, their leading rebounder, Kurt King, and their leading steal and assist maker, Ricky Moore, out of the game.
Another offensive rebound.
But, that's foul called on Jones. Timeout. Timeout called. It's a television timeout, 1:27 to go first half. Jock Vaughn has become the all-time assist leader in Big 8 history. Now the Big 12, but they let the record spill over one more season. He needed 2 coming into the game today. He's got 3 already, including that highlight assist to Rafe LaFrance. He's the all-time assist king now. That's Hash trying to tie the game, and Hardnett pulling down the rebound with force. Minute to go, first half.
Pierce and Hamilton. Again, a good back screen on Pierce to get Hamilton free would really help him, because he's stroking the ball well with his jumper. He just can't get loose.
Hamilton, tough pass, fielded it though. Pollard picks up the rebound. 45 seconds to go in the half.
Important stop right here for Connecticut.
Whip it around.
With a stop, they can go in with the lead.
With a three, Kansas can tie it. Pierce, two-point shot. Loose ball, and UConn's getting them all.
Last shot. Get one shot. Terrific accomplishment by this group of young players.
Pierce on Hamilton. They double him up. Swinging around. Carson passes up on the shot. Hardnett drives. Hardnett has to force it. And 4/10 of a second left in the first half, which is enough time to by definition to catch an inbounds pass and shoot it. Not
catch and shoot.
Yep, by 1/10. If it was 3/10,
they'd have to just touch and touch it.
Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Gus Johnson and George Raveling get you caught up on all the scores and highlights, plus the courageous comeback from cancer of Auburn guard Wes Flanagan. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
Tim, here's a good opportunity, I think. Take your biggest man on the man throwing that ball in bounds. Make the target tough.
In the 90s, these two programs, accustomed to being in the Sweet 16, here are the top programs. Sweet 16, Arkansas with 6, and then the Huskies, Jayhawks, and Tar Heels with 5 Sweet 16 appearances. Well, let's see what Kansas can do here. 4/10 of a second is all.
Good, they put Claber on the long pass.
Pollard shot.
Pretty well executed, both ways.
That's the end of the first half. What a performance by that man and his underman and young squad, starting 3 freshmen today. Hamilton with 16, Jones with 11. Connecticut leads #1 Kansas at halftime by 3. Percentage back down now to 40%. 5 of 10 though from 3-point range for Kansas, and UConn 5 out of 9. Billy, you know, Kansas was down early, down by as many as 16, then fought back into it. What do you expect in the second half?
Well, Jim, one of the real things that Connecticut did was get on the boards. A big advantage, 20-13 over the #2 rebounding team in the country. A terrific job there. They go back to their 2-3 zone. I think it's going to be a matter of, do they have the patience offensively to stay into this basketball game? Kansas, such an experienced team.
Kansas has never led in this game. December 1987, the last time UConn lost a non-conference game here in Hartford, and that would have tied it. Haas on a 3.
That's why I like that 2-3 zone against Kansas, opposed to the man-to-man that got him in some trouble. It forces Kansas to shoot from the outside, something Roy Williams would rather not do with this year's club.
That foul called on Vaughn, his 3rd. UConn was so hot at the start of this game, made 8 of its first 11 from the field, and then backed off of it the final 12 minutes of the first half.
But Jim, I think psychologically the Kansas players did not expect UConn with this makeshift lineup to come at them early in the game. So remember, they were getting a lot of shots early in the game on the break and on second shots.
Freeman will try one more.
59% free throw shooter.
UConn was better from 3-point range than from the free throw line in the first half. Now only 5 of 11, 5 of 12 for the game. Inside for an easy 2. Pierce posting up.
Too easy. Bosco didn't get over in position and playing that low post defense in the 2-3 zone in the middle. He's got to beat a guy like Pierce to the spot.
This is as close as Kansas has been since the opening tip.
You see they have Vaughn on Hamilton now. A little change in assignments. He's awful quick for Hamilton.
Almost made the steal. Now Jones has it. Hamilton will reset. Out high. with 10 on the shot clock.
Nice screen that time by Freeman. Hamilton didn't hit him quick enough.
Freeman, 3 on the shot clock. Loose ball, Hartnett on the floor. That last touch, the hands of Pierce.
You know, Jim, one of the things that this will do for Jim Calhoun's program, I think, with the fans, there were so many people so upset about the NCAA violations in terms of King and Moore that felt that there wasn't much that was going to happen today. They still turned out another one of their sellouts. But to see this effort by this young team, regardless of what the outcome is, has really been good for Connecticut basketball.
Pass, hustles, whoa, hammered on the way up.
Again, there's good sportsmanship. Two guys just playing hard, helping each other up.
Jones just tried anything he could do to save it. Haas came out of the pack. This could have really been dangerous under the goal.
Haas, a real competitor. Both go down and then help each other back up. Just battling for 2 points here.
22nd timeout called by UConn.
Jim, the net has been ripped down on that last play. They're going to have to replace it.
So no timeout, but yeah, this could take a while to string that. Haas will be going to the line for 2, trying to give Kansas its first lead. Gives us a chance to look at the elite teams in college basketball this year in terms of records.
Here's one that surprises all of us. Pacific 13-1, a win over Georgetown. Wake Forest, Clemson, a big matchup. One of those two have to fall this week. They go against each other. Denny Crum's team doing extremely well this year.
So while they work on the equipment here, we'll take a timeout. 1988, Kansas with a memorable moment in its storied history. Tournament MVP Danny Manning leading the upstart Jayhawks past Oklahoma, Kemper Arena, and giving Kansas the national championship.
Now, Jim, not quite to the same degree, but how about this memory for Connecticut?
1990 NCAA tournament. One of the most storied shots.
Here goes the long pass with 1 second to go. The shot. Yes! The shot's gonna go. The shot by Tate George wins it.
And that was against Clemson.
And a stunned Cliff Ellis.
Remember, this man was stunned just 2 days later when Christian Laettner threw in that shot to take Connecticut's chances of going to the Final Four away.
What a regional that was.
That was something.
Now back to action. Pass with 2 at the line. Ties the game at 34. Now looking for the first lead of the day.
In this Kansas program under that man Roy Williams has been #1 at least 1 week every year for the past 5 years. You talk about consistency, huh?
That's remarkable, but this is their longest stint at #1. The lob, and Freeman lost control of it. Just took his eye off of it. It looked like it was all set up. Pass baseline, LaFrance for 2.
Now here's where this team has to stay patient. And it's hard to do when you've got basically 3 freshmen and a junior college transfer on the floor.
37-34 Jayhawks.
Kansas has had some incredible runs this year. 18-0, 24-2. They just have that ability.
Jones tried to tie it with a 3. They've already had a 14-point run in this game. Oh, Bosco's block was
that was a good block.
Clean, it appeared.
One of those kind of fouls that's called by an official because he anticipated the foul, but this is a good, clean block. Up goes Bosco, all ball on that play.
That is as clean as a block can be made. And you can just hear the thud.
Just a terrific block.
LaFrance for 2.
Actually, LaFrance got knocked aside because of the force of the block on the ball.
So Bosco with 3 fouls.
Yeah, that hurts doubly there. Should have been a good block. Instead, it ends up with 2 points potentially and a key 3rd foul on a man that's very important for that 2-3 zone.
Kansas comes out and scores the first 8 points of the second half.
Nice ball fake.
And a turnover. Pierce. Freeman fighting for it. Tie-up situation. Huskies have the arrow.
Boy, the people have to love the effort out here by both of these ball clubs.
With the conclusion of this game, we will be selecting a genuine Chevrolet Most Valuable Player from each team. And Chevrolet continues to contribute thousands of dollars that have added up now to $6.5 million through the years to scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities.
Jim, I only see the points coming from two places on the floor, Jones and Hamilton, other than Garvey. And they've got to free Hamilton up. They're asking him to handle the ball. Consequently, he's not in a position to get off his jump shot. So he needs some screens to get free.
Jones in the lane. UConn's made only one of its last 11 from the field.
They're getting one shot and done.
And Jayhawks are driving with 10 points right out of the box here to start the second half. 41-34. Program that has been ranked for 106 consecutive polls. Again, the lineup next week: Villanova Boston College on Saturday, Auburn, Georgia, UCLA, Louisville. That all starts 2 o'clock Eastern time. On Sunday, the whole nation gets Indiana, Penn State, 12 o'clock Eastern time. Then we'll split the nation 3 ways. Get to see a little action of each game. Kentucky, Arkansas, Syracuse, right here at the Hartford Civic Center against UConn, and Missouri against Texas. 22nd timeout for the Huskies coming out of it now.
This start by Kansas, 17-0. They were 19-0 starting the 1990 year. Put themselves into first place. #1 ranked team in the country.
Best start ever. 23-0 back in the 1930s. You suggested when we saw them real early in the season at UCLA on December the 7th, perhaps they could be undefeated at season's end, which, you know, we haven't seen in a long time.
I think this team, probably the one that reminds me of this team a little bit, was Vegas in '92. I thought that team could go undefeated. In '91, rather.
Hartnett to the hole.
Boy, Kansas just coming at him now.
Look at him breaking, too. Pass from the corner, 3.
He's been short on every jump shot today. Good trajectory as far as the line it up at the front of the rim. He's just been short every time. And remember who eliminated Kansas last year in the NCAA tournament? Syracuse.
Big East school.
Yep, a Big East school, primarily because Kansas could not shoot at all from the perimeter.
Well, that was the nightmare game for that man, Jared Haas,
right.
who was 0 for 8. 0 for 9 overall, 0 for 8 from 3.
Yep.
Kansas with only 4 turnovers, leading by 7. Claiborne into the game, 22 for Connecticut. Huskies, as you mentioned, Billy, just so limited with options when they get set up in their half-court offense. Freeman skips it over. Jones drives. First points of the half. Took it 4.5 minutes.
And that was a tough shot.
Right back. A steal. It looked like Pierce would go in for an easy 2. UConn got there in a hurry. On the wing, Claiborne. Blocked by LaFrance. Ahead. Pass. 3-on-2. Haas will take it all the way.
Now, there's no way Connecticut can get this type of game. Even though they started with a frenzy, this is not their kind of basketball game with this young team.
Another 20-second timeout called by Connecticut. That's it. They're out of 20s.
Yeah, but you're no sense saving timeouts in a situation with this. You got a young basketball team. Try to keep the game as close as you can, as long as you can.
The top 10 Associated Press, Kansas, Wake, that will remain the same. Clemson, they'll stay there. Cincinnati will slip a little bit with a loss to Temple this week. Kentucky to bump up to number 4. Arizona will drop back with 2 losses, including the one to UCLA. USC beat them the other night. Minnesota, Iowa State will drop. Utah, and Louisville. Louisville, a real surprise this year. What a job Denny Crum recently picking up number 600.
Jim, I talked about great runs. This year, Kansas had a run of 18-0 against LSU, 24-2 against George Washington, and 25-2 against NC State. So this is not unusual for them to blow out like this.
And again, a 14-0 run in the first half here. 10-0 in the second half. Three-pointer by Hamilton. Bosco picks it up. Pump fake. Blocked by Pollard. His second.
Pollard had 7 blocks against Kansas State.
Pass jumper. Short again.
Short. He's shooting right on line. Just everything short. He's got to make up for that. Aim for the back of the rim.
Hardnett had his back heel on the line.
So easy for a player to adjust on his jump shot if he's consistently doing the same thing wrong. He's shooting straight ahead, but he's always short. He's got to pick out a target on the other side of the rim.
E.J. Williams turnaround jumper.
Second easy jumper he's missed today.
Hardnett with pressure from behind. Hamilton 3. Brought him back to within 4.
That's the first decent look he's had in a long time, Jim.
Rob Pollard, his first basket of the day. He's 1 for 6 from the
Good
field.
back screen by Pierce against Freeman. Made that play possible.
.45-39 Kansas. Inside Freeman over Pollard with the left hand. And a hold on Haas.
Here we see the lob. The lob was set up by an excellent back screen by Pierce, allowing Pollard to just have a wide open shot inside.
Second on Haas. Goes to the bench. Billy Thomas comes in, along with freshman Nick Bradford.
Bradford, a kind of a guy that makes things happen. Comes off that bench. Just doesn't seem to let anything bother him at all.
From Fayetteville,
A
Arkansas.
lot of self-confidence. They could have used him yesterday, that team from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Cincinnati put on quite a show, didn't they, Jim?
They really did.
Power basketball.
Danny Fortson, certainly living up to first-team All-America kind of player he is. Thomas comes out of it with it. Vaughn. Bosco with a steal.
Jock Vaughn wanted that ball back in his hands.
Jones pull up 3. And UConn hadn't even got down the floor. Vaughn penetrating, lost it. TJ Pugh on the floor.
Oh, Bosco, what a hustle play.
Ahead to Jones. They got the numbers now. Hardnett for 2.
Jim, when they get their players back and have a little more depth, this Connecticut team, although not a big scoring team, they look like they can really run, you know?
Pugh over Vosco. Wow, that was a tough shot.
They only got 2 scorers in the half-court set, but they've got a lot of guys who can run.
Jones scores, and he's ready to come out. He is exhausted.
Funny how guys can go full speed down on the offensive end, but they have to pull that jersey, always coming back on defense. I've never seen a guy run down the court on the offensive end.
Say, I'm ready to come out now. Deion Carson replaces him.
I guess you're running downhill when you're going towards the basket. Maybe it's uphill when you're going back on defense.
But Jones having a big day for Connecticut. Jones with 15, matching his average. They brought in now another freshman, Sam Funchess, for Connecticut, number 31. Bosco sits, and Pollard comes right in and takes advantage of the substitution. Scoring right around Funchess.
Funchess has been played with Henderson that went to LSU, and Jesse Pate that was at Arkansas. Played on the same high school team.
Or a high school down in Jackson, Mississippi.
I saw Funches play in a high school ball game. He's only a sophomore at the time. Needs to put on a little weight. That Achilles heel problem has slowed him down a little bit here in his freshman year at Connecticut.
What a hustle by Freeman, and a foul on Haas. Freeman tipped it twice to keep it alive. Antrick Kleber will come in for Connecticut. And an official timeout. The under-12 timeout. Kansas has made 7 out of 11 in the second half. Pollard starting to warm up. And the Jayhawks are in front by 6.
Over the top, nothing Freeman can do. Pollard with the easy shot.
UConn has it now. Ball knocked out of bounds. Huskies retain possession. 49-43. Number 1 team in the country. Leading by 6. Kansas's last non-league game, Billy, until the NCAA tournament.
Right. A good situation here, though, because the French, they get the ball to the wrong man. They had the good matchup for the French on a guard, and Hardnett gave up the ball. He should have kept it.
Freeman powering inside and drawing the foul.
Well, we talked about his strength inside. Against Pierce, he still gets it off.
In the 90s, winning percentage, Kansas, but still looking for a national title in the 90s. Been to the Final Four in the 90s a couple of times.
Well, let's see. In the 90s, you had on that list, you had Arkansas with a national championship and Kentucky with one.
UConn has made only one of its last 7 free throws.
I guess the only one on that list that went to the Final Four is Connecticut, Jim.
That's right.
Yep. Arizona's been there.
UConn's never been there in school history. The men's team, that is.
They stay in that 2-3 zone, packing it in.
A pass, they got it there, though. LaFrance caught underneath Carson.
And they're just going to say to Kansas, as will everybody else in the NCAA tournament when they play, Kansas, prove to me that you can make a perimeter shot. Nobody's going to give them the inside game.
Freeman driving, gets it back. And Pierce fouled by Hardnett. After basketball on CBS, Olympic Winterfest reprises some of the sterling performances of Victor Petrenko, Michelle Kwan, and Scott Hamilton. Great moments on ice coming your way later today, 4:30 Eastern Time on CBS Sports. Kirk
Jim,
Browning also.
With King out of the ball game, Jim, you can see that the strength that Bosco has is really necessary with King out there. When Kleber's in there, he's just not strong enough down the low post to prevent those Kansas Jayhawks from just going up on the boards over him.
His hands aren't strong enough.
Yeah.
A couple of times he's had a chance to pick up some loose change. Long 3. Long rebound to Jones.
As I said, they're going to make Kansas prove that they can make the perimeter shot.
Inside of 10 minutes.
I thought maybe Billy Thomas would come in against this zone as it gets packed more in. See if Roy Williams brings his best perimeter shooter off that bench.
Last touch by Haas. 15 on the shot clock. Hamilton returns. Hamilton with 19-3 coming in this half. He made a 3-point shot from the corner.
But Jim, what slowed him down in the half, he's the guy that's responsible for handling the ball so much. Hadn't been in a position to get off the shots.
Hamilton.
Good.
That's a career high for the freshman. 21.
That was against Jock Vaughn. He used it.
This is a 3-point game with 9 minutes remaining. No one would have believed it an hour and a half ago. Pierce in traffic. Away from the ball. Oh, a hold called against Connecticut.
It's a terrific drive. Excellent elevation by Hamilton. Hits that jumper. Comes right across the lane. Just goes up and extends beautifully.
He picks up the foul at the other end. That's only the 4th team foul, so Kansas is bounds.
Again, that zone packing down inside 15 feet now.
Pierce jumper. Pierce with 12.
And you notice, Jim, he shot that shot almost from the foul line, so the zone is really down deep. Jones has scored in this half, but primarily on the break or in transition, not in the half-court set.
A push.
That's a hold by Robertson.
Yep. Robertson, second.
There's one case where Jones actually has a physical advantage over the man guarding him.
15 foul on Kansas.
Labor missed. Hamilton breaking long.
He had him for a moment.
But you know, he's not the guy that's going to make that play, so it's probably wise you didn't try.
Hamilton 3. Keep it alive. Jones for 3. Oh, it's a 2-point lead.
Amazing, amazing basketball game.
51-49. This crowd has been standing the entire second half. Robertson, traffic foul on Bosco, number 4.
Foul.
And look at Kleber trying to raise his hand and take credit for the foul. Hold on a minute. They do. They give it to Kleber.
That's a big break for Connecticut.
It sure looked like Bosco.
It was Bosco's foul.
Freeman returns. So Kleber takes one for the team.
Probably the best assist he's had all day. There's Bosco without question. He's the guy that hits him on the arm. But a good break for Connecticut.
Ryan Robertson to shoot 2. What do you think Jim Calhoun would have said before the game? He said 7.5 minutes to go in the game, you'll be down 3.
He just said, I'll take it, and I'll call somebody up to turn the lights out.
And a timeout. The under 8 timeout. Jayhawks 53, Huskies 49. UConn had a 16-point lead at one time in the first half. Billy, the game summary?
Well, here's shooting percentage way up there by Kansas here in the second half, which is a great accomplishment considering that Connecticut has really been a field goal percentage leader on the defensive end of the floor. Kansas team, a veteran team, solid.
Full court pressure by the Hawks, but broken. 3-on-2. Jones, charge.
Well, that was an experienced play by Pollard. He just held his ground, held his hands above his head, and I think a nice piece of officiating. See that? Hands above head, didn't make any contact. The contact created by the offensive player. Excellent call.
3rd on Roshmel Jones. 6th team foul. Next one will be 1-1.
Kansas right back to their starting lineup. Jim, I never would have believed at this point in the game Kansas would have to worry about a margin like this. I thought those guys have been long gone on that bench. Terrific job by the young Connecticut team. And again, that zone is back inside the foul line.
Inside Pollard. Somehow that rattled out, and Bosco sweeps away the rebound. Down 4, trying to cut into it. Under 7 minutes remaining.
You can see this Connecticut team by season's end being a problem for people in the Big East tournament, couldn't you? Get Moore back, King back.
How about the NCAA tournament? Being some trouble for a team. Not saying you're going to get to the Final Four, but
no, I wouldn't say that about them.
But they'll give some people some fits. 4 on the shot clock. Carson.
He had one. He had nowhere to go. Kind of ran out of options and said, I think I'll just take it all the way myself. You see him right here. He's looking to make a play somewhere. It just keeps right on going.
Bosco set a screen for him. LaFrance, they called it on the LaFrance.
You see that pick, Bosco on Pierce.
Carson can reduce it to 1. Huskies have struggled at the line, though.
There's Freeman banging in there again.
They're 6 for 15 from the line today, 40%. Pollard back outside. Haas thought about it.
Good pressure on the ball.
Pierce over to Pollard. Jumper again rattles out somehow. That's 2 of them look like they would go down. A 2 to tie, a 3 for the lead. Carson for the lead. Ahead to Pierce, 3-on-2 Kansas. UConn gets back.
Jim, here's where you want to keep packing that zone back farther. Make them shoot the outside perimeter shot.
LaFrance, no foul. Carson, the game is tied with 5 minutes to go.
Carson thinks he's Chris Smith.
Pierce gets it back. Kansas leads by 2.
No block out on the shooter. Carson thought the big guys had it.
(55-53) Kansas.
Thomas and Williams looking to come back in the game. Jones for the shot here, Jim.
They're under 10 on the shot clock.
They got to get him the ball.
Freeman. He's driving. And a whistle.
Touch foul on LaFrance. Bad foul by Rafe because the clock was winding down. And you had the ball in the hands of a man that's more than likely not going to make the play.
Yep. Freeman's going to have to make the play, though. At the free throw line, he'll have a 1-and-1. And again, the Huskies have struggled, to put it mildly. 6 of 15 today.
Well, Jim, on the year, this team's only shooting 61%. Very low shooting percentage from the foul line, and Freeman down there at 59.
He's only made 2 of 6 today. Freeman, 1-and-1.
Well, it's cold enough for ice hockey around here, and this is a hockey arena, right? Do you believe in miracles was a statement. It's too early to throw that on it, but so far this has been a miracle.
It would apply here if somehow UConn prevailed. 55-55, 4:15 remaining.
Look for Thomas to be the man with a three-point shot.
DJ Williams. What? Foul called.
Good look inside.
Foul on Kleber. And he'll shoot 2.
I thought this was a pretty good block, Jim. Boy, that was
that really looked clean from that angle.
That's 2 that have been called on Connecticut. One on Bosco and that one on Kleber that were pretty good looking blocks.
DJ Williams, 63% free throw shooter. And the 2 sitting out today. Kirk King, the leading rebounder on the left. Ricky Moore, the leading assist and steal maker on the right. Arguably their 2 best players suspended for accepting a plane ticket. And the NCAA will investigate. The school turned that one in, and they may be out from anywhere from 1 to 3 more games. That's what most people are speculating. Somehow undermanned, starting 3 freshmen in the front court. UConn trails by only 2 inside 4 minutes. Hamilton. Fawn has it. That was a three-point shot by Hamilton that would have given him the lead. Instead, at the other end, there's Billy Thomas.
I was waiting for that. And his release is good and confident. He's the one guy, if you're Jim Calhoun, you don't want to see touch that ball from the perimeter.
Suddenly a 5-point Kansas lead.
This is scary here. Point guard with no hands.
You don't know where they're going with it with 6 on the shot clock. Jones has to take it. They say it's a 2. Hanging out on the 3-point line and straddled it. So only a 2. Need a big stop here. There's Thomas again firing. Thomas with 2 huge threes.
If they win the national championship, Jim, he will do that in the NCAA tournament. He can be the guy to put them over the edge.
63-57, Jayhawks.
CBS Sports coverage of the road to the Final Four is sponsored by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. And by Pizza Hut, making it great again and again.
Well, behind Billy Thomas, the Jayhawks have broken open a tie game to lead by 6. Both teams in the 1-1. Both teams with 2 full timeouts remaining. And if you're UConn and Jim Calhoun, what are you telling your team now?
Well, what you're trying to do is to get Hamilton the ball in the hands of Hartnett, and maybe a screen by Voskuhl to let Hamilton get off his jump shot. And Jones. 2 guys got to take shots the rest of the way, Hamilton and Jones. And you wouldn't mind getting off a 3 even this early. He's got it right there, didn't take advantage of it.
Jones too long. And it was Thomas with the rebound, clearing.
That's the kind of shot you want. Yep. Down 6.
Couldn't ask for a better look than that.
Now, Roy Williams says, take a little time off the clock. 2-3, and look how Billy Thomas will extend that zone because you got to be aware of him. They throw over the top. Beautiful. 2 this time. Billy Thomas will be your Chevy MVP. And that's the largest lead of the day for Kansas, 8.
No sense taking time off the clock now if you're Connecticut. You've got to attack.
Just 1:40 remaining.
Trying to set double screens for Jones.
Hartnett to Freeman driving in. Foul called on LaFrance.
Really impressed with Freeman. Hard-nosed player.
Well, your lineup tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by Touched by an Angel, and then an All-America Gala. That's all tonight on CBS. There's a thing that the NCAA Basketball Committee factors in when they're trying to choose their at-large teams. It's called a quality loss. And this is the kind of quality loss that I think will assure UConn of being in the 64-team field if they, in fact, lose this game.
Another thing, Jim, anybody that's ever been undefeated had to face some games that could have gone the other way.
That's right.
And this is one that, this and the Cincinnati game particularly, are two games that Kansas showed what they're made of. It's a terrific basketball team. A lot of depth, a lot of poise, a lot of talent, and well coached.
Pierce, baseliner. Hamilton comes out with it. 1 minute to go. One last flurry, perhaps. Freeman for 2. It's down to 6.
Two freshmen.
23 for Hamilton.
Doc Vaughn realizing that the clock right now is an opponent of Connecticut. They don't need points, they need time.
That last basket by Freeman giving him 8. Hamilton leading the way with 21. 53 seconds remaining. Kansas Again, the next time they'll face a team outside of the Big 12 will be the first round of the NCAA tournament, where you know they'll be a #1 seed. They'll be a huge favorite. They would like to go to Auburn Hills as a first and second round site in the Midwest. This university is hosting the other Midwest first and second round site at Kemper Arena, so they're not eligible to go there. But the regional the next weekend would be in San Antonio. That would be the path of preference for Kansas, which last year had to go west and lost in the Elite Eight to Syracuse.
Of course, they'll be having their hands full in Kemper with the Big 12 tournament. That should be plenty packed with teams now that basically that league's expanded to 12 teams with a lot of good strength there.
Vaughn puts him up by 8.
Good help by Pollard. Took away the shooting angle for Hamilton.
Look at Vaughn and Haas not allowing him to get any kind of shot off. Vaughn all over Jones. Great defense. Jones driving in now. What a shot. Timeout. 34.4 remaining and the 6-point Kansas lead. Kansas trying to extend its unbeaten record to 18-0. We'll be right back. Play most valuable players. Billy Thomas from Kansas, the hero down the stretch. Richard Hamilton from UConn, the freshman, career high 21. Chevrolet donates $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund.
Jim Calhoun looking for a steal. And he's got 2 possessions he needs.
Oh, that's almost 5.
He got it.
Not in time.
He's raised his hand, but he gives him a timeout.
Oh, he shook his head as though we're going to not allow it.
And it's going to be a 20-second timeout. Looked like he called a 5-second count and then said no. Jim Calhoun says it was 6. I'll tell you, as a coach, he'll have a loss when he goes home tonight, and obviously he's had so many great victories. But this one will rank right up there in terms of the way his team played.
Magnificent
All
coaching
right, we'll
job.
see the call right here. See the hands?
By that count, they were within 5. Watch his arm waving. LaFrance climbs to take the inbounds pass.
Well, it's nice to be able to throw the ball from a 7-footer to a 6'10" who has good hands when you're trying to get it in bounds.
By the way, when our game ends, we're going to take you to Austin for overtime between Louisville and Texas. Louisville ranked 10th in the country. Jones has just fouled out.
Both of those teams in excellent conferences as far as power is concerned, but they've played a non-conference schedule, both of them, where they've taken on all comers. And we mentioned Louisville taking on UCLA next week. There's a great hand for Jones.
Rushmel Jones with 22, the high man for the Huskies. The Big East was 0-12 at one time this year in games against ranked opponents, non-league opponents that are ranked in the top 25, and then they won 2 in a row. Pittsburgh over Michigan and Boston College over Louisville for 2-12 outside of the league against ranked teams. But somehow they're ranked fourth best conference in these power rankings you hear so much about. So I don't know how many teams will come out of the Big East this year to the tournament, but you're probably looking at about four max. LaFrance, one more.
Plans for that big game. We had him against UCLA, 31 points, 11 rebounds. Playing All-American style basketball this year, without question.
Jay Williams comes in. 30 seconds remaining. Hard net.
Foul before.
The executive producer of CBS Sports is Rick Gentile. The coordinating producer of NCAA basketball is Bob Dekas. Today's game directed by Mike Arnold. Coordinating producer of the Road to the Final Four is Eric Mann. Studio produced by Vin DeVito and directed by Kathy Barretto. Also our thanks to our associate director Jim Rickoff and broadcast associate Steve Karras.
See Roy Williams just substituting offense to defense. Back on offense now. LaFrance comes back in the game. Williams sits.
Hartnett one more. Down to 6. Got to make a steal now. Pollard and LaFrance, and a foul on Hamilton.
Jim Calhoun over there is kind of interesting. There are 6 guys in the history of college basketball that have coached 2 different teams to more than 200 wins at 2 schools. Jim has a chance to be the first guy ever to have 250 wins at 2 different schools. That shows you a guy can put together a program, huh?
He hit it right on the number at Northeastern, 250. But I would think this would have to be one of his proudest moments, and it comes in a loss.
Well, Jim, you talked to him, what, 30, 40 minutes before this ball game, and he is not only obviously very concerned over these infractions, but also basically the direction that came out of the NCAA convention. And I'll tell you, I have not talked to one major Division I coach that understands at all some of the rulings that were passed this past week. We'll get into those as weeks go on, I'm sure.
Again, Williams for LaFrance. Which one's the most troubling to the coaches?
I think the one that's most troubling is allowing athletes to have jobs when they actually have no time whatsoever to do what they're doing now. And obviously not restoring the 14th scholarship when basketball is paying the freight at most of the schools.
Quincy Hartnett with 2 more. Final 10 seconds. 71-65. And the Jayhawks heading to the line.
Jim, on that issue, you wonder, I mean, you were involved with intercollegiate golf. You know the time constraints of an athlete in golf on scholarship. A college Division I football player that you covered this year, if those people would look at the itinerary of a normal college kid that's playing football at a major school, they'd realize that they've really opened up a loophole for more cheating in terms of this job opportunity than, in effect, the rule that stands right now. These kids basically have full-time jobs and responsibilities in addition to their studies.
There was an athletes board, though, that met there, and that's one thing they really wanted. Oscar put it up now. Hamilton last shot of the game. A feisty effort.
Terrific basketball game.
Roy Williams and his team roll on 18-0. Heading to a #1 seed and maybe a national championship. Great job by Jim Calhoun. Billy Packer and Jim Nance saying so long from here. Let's go back to New York.
All right, Jim, so Kansas down at one time by 16 points. They come back to win it 73-65. Meanwhile, we've got a